Welcome to the Business Spotlight Podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host here on the show today. And today I have Brian Windsor, President and CEO of Rain Therapeutics, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices that he's learned, and as well as some challenges that he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Brian. It's so nice to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Hi, Kay. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, before we dive into all things business, I'd love to learn a little bit about you. So feel free to share a little bit about yourself.
I live in Austin, in Southwest Austin. I'm married. I have three children. My youngest is graduating high school this month, so we'll be empty nesters soon. We'll have a couple in college. Uh, I've been in biotech for, I guess, about the past 25, 30 years. But have always been interested in business ownership and entrepreneurship, those kinds of things.
That's incredible. I'd love to hear that. So tell me about like a little bit about your backstory. Okay, so you were in biotech. How did that start? And then how did you form a business around it?
So when I was growing up, I wanted to be a musician and was, in a band and played music and stuff like that. And but so my goal was to go to college for like a year and then drop out when the band got big, So I dropped out of college. That part I did, but the band, getting big didn't happen. So I was just working in restaurants, and my parents really wanted me to go back to school, but there was nothing I wanted to study. So I just started taking community college classes in Dallas, took a biology class, and just loved it. I thought I could study this, transferred to UT Austin, and then got my bachelor's and PhD in molecular biology. While I was a grad student, I was on a project that turned into technology that the university patented. And it's just kind of my MO in life to say, hey, why don't we start a business? Why don't we do something with this? So my co-advisors, I said, hey, we should start a biotech company and license our own intellectual property, which we did. So I kind of started down the road of hard knocks, learning the hard way about putting a business plan together, about a pitch deck, about all of that good stuff, finding investment, et cetera, et cetera. And that was just the first of many. Uh, with my recent Rain Therapeutics, we started. I actually did not start the business, but I was the first employee, so kind of a founding CEO. They formed the company in 2013 as Lung Therapeutics. Super creative name, I know. And but I met the founder, was really impressed with him, his passion, the technology, and then have been with that company ever since. We rebranded to Rain Therapeutics earlier this year.
Oh, that's incredible. I love your backstory, especially that you were in music. That's really cool. And then how it changed and pivoted. And so how long now has Rain been in I guess been a company?
Since early 2013, we have two drug programs that are phase two level drugs. Happy to tell you kind of what that is and what they do. But we started out in 2013, so it's been a while.
Oh wow. Yeah, tell me about the drugs.
We focus right now on a disease called idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, or IPF. This is scarring inside the lungs. It's a fatal disease. Median survival from diagnosis is only between 2 and 5 years. So it's a deadly, deadly disease. Eventually, the scarring just prevents breathing.
Hmm.
And we have a drug we just yesterday announced kicking off a phase two clinical trial for the drug that we have in IPF. There are some drugs that are approved in this field. they really slow disease progression for about a year, and they have really terrible side effects, a lot of GI side effects. So we have a drug that not only inhibits the scarring process, but has a regenerative component to it. And we're really kind of to the point now where we're hoping we can see it work and be really worth something in patients.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm a kind of a geek about that kind of stuff too, like medical and things like that. So I think it's huge, like the advancements that you're making. Help people live better lives. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It's we will get messages, calls, emails, Facebook messages, anything from typically from caregivers who have a loved one who has the condition. And this has been going on for years. And, I kind of thought a long time ago, it's like if they found us, they have found every company that's developing a drug in this space. And these people are pretty desperate. I have told my team I want to take all of those calls, all of those emails. I personally reach out to people. And it's a desperate situation. It's a really tough situation. So we want to make a real impact in this disease.
definitely. Like, what is the kind of how many people would you say in the US can contract that or get that disease? Or is it like a genetic thing?
It's unknown where it comes from. Some cases are almost assuredly genetic. Others are people who have, for example, they've had cancer and undergone radiation
Mhm.
treatment, and they develop pulmonary fibrosis. Others, they just don't know where it comes from. But there are about 40 to 45,000 new cases of this condition each year, about 100,000 people in the US living with the disease each year.
Wow, it sounds like you guys are doing a big thing to help those folks. Looking at kind of like where your business is at now, tell me about your team. Like who's helping you run the machine and how many employees do you have?
We have 10 full-time employees. So it's not, and a lot of consultants, huge network of consultants. We have a full-time chief scientific officer. We've got a scientist on staff. We've got a lot of finance people, clinical operations, what we call CMC, which is manufacturing. So we have a couple of people in CMC and then somebody in quality. We're spread out all over the country. There are four of us who just happen to live in Austin, but um, most of the team is concentrated in the Boston area.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna ask if you guys were like all centralized here in Austin, but you're spread out. And tell me about like you mentioned some of the roles on the team. So I'd like to kind of learn about your day to day, as the CEO, what does your day to day look like? Are you mostly working more in the business or on the business or a little bit of both?
So, I mean, biotech, as you probably know, is what we refer to as a non-revenue generating entity. So we don't have a product that we can sell. All of our and it costs a, a huge amount of money to develop a drug. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we've raised for this company $150 million or so, and we need a lot more to get a drug to market just based on historical comparisons. So my job is mostly asking people for money, and whether they are institutional investors, which most of them are, or high net worth individuals or family offices. My job is to bring in the money to keep the lights on, and also to try to tell the story, help the stock price appreciate, get the word out for this. Last week on Thursday, I was in New York at a banking conference and just, doing what I do most days, which is tell the story to people and talk about the program.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing about that and like the role that you're bringing. Looking at ahead, like where, especially with some of these things you're working on, where do you see the company in 3 to 5 years?
The trial that we're in presently, this phase 2 trial, we've given guidance that we will have some sort of top line data first half of the year next year.
Mhm.
The kind of study that we're doing is one where we're dosing for 24 weeks in IPF patients. So our drug is an inhaled drug. It's a dry powder inhaled. They will inhale the drug twice a day, um, and for 24 weeks. Early next year, we'll have 12 weeks worth of data on some portion of the patients. Not sure how many, but that's when we want to kind of release top line data. Other companies in our space have gotten tremendous value off of 12-week lung function data. So the patients, uh, they will breathe in a machine called a spirometer, and it measures like how much you can exhale and the force with which you can exhale, that sort of thing. And then we'll compare measurements of people that got the drug versus people that got a placebo over time, over that 12 weeks and ultimately over 24 weeks. So look for changes. Are we improving their lung function over this period of time compared to placebo? And other companies in the space who have done similar trials have really just gotten tremendous value. $500 million of market cap, $1 billion of market cap off of this kind of data. I don't know what that is, but so it's a pivotal point for our company. We're hoping to see really great changes in lung function that we can measure at 12 weeks and then at 24 weeks. That would really kind of put us on a different level as the type of company that we are. And then we would look to move this drug into a phase 3 clinical trial while also just exploring other exit options. I mean, and in business as a business owner, whether it's a private company, a public company, whatever it is, that you're always looking for the exit, the best value for your shareholders. So we would just be looking for that, or to just continue to move the drug to market.
Oh, yeah. Now, what does that look like with say you find results, you have the results with your findings and you go into phase 3. How does it look for you moving the drug itself forward? Do you like work with pharmaceutical companies or how I have no idea, so I'm very curious.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies get acquired at the stage where they can really kind of prove their drug up. Big pharma doesn't do as much research anymore as they used to. They just let biotech companies like ours do the heavy lifting, and then once you prove something up, then they may come in and want to acquire it. I'm a big believer in making your own way in the world, not kind of relying on somebody else for your path forward. So we would look to build out a sales force and just have a commercial stage venture. We've got a board member, Bill Ferry, who was ex-chief commercial officer and did a lot of commercial work for much larger biotech companies. We would utilize all the expertise to build out a sales force and um, medical liaisons, people that talk to doctors about your drugs, and honestly, it's a whole other world from like starting the company when we were just focused on science and is this thing working and how can we show that it works? So it will be a big change.
Yeah, I can imagine like the whole company will shift because it's like you've done that phase, you discovered what works, and then you're ready to like take it to market. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's what's really unique about businesses like yours is that there is that change because development is takes such a long time and is such a business in itself.
Yeah. 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 Really so.
Oh, well, I'd love to hear how you're planning on, doing some of that marketing. Like if you are going to build up that sales team and take the product to market yourself, what does that look like for you?
That's a great question. It's interesting when I think of marketing. Now our marketing is to investors, is to Wall Street, is to big pharma. So it's a very different sort of marketing plan than marketing to physicians or marketing to customers, marketing to patients. I think in our field, the best marketing is having the best data possible on your drug. Because I mean, what sells you on a product, on a pharmaceutical product that you're considering taking? Is this thing going to work? Am I going to lose weight, for real? And then how many side effects does it have? How do I administer it? Can I take a pill? Do I have to have a shot? All of these things that are really related to the patient experience are, to me, that's what's paramount in the marketing of a product like ours. I've never been with a big pharmaceutical company. I don't know how they do their marketing. I will say, one thing that's interesting for us in our space, if you've seen an ad for a pharmaceutical product, which we all have, you know that they have like the craziest names on the planet. It's
Yeah.
like, why is this, Zegovy or whatever, is the name of
Yeah.
the drug. Is always just the most obscure, ridiculous kinds of names. We started the process for ultimately naming one of our drugs a couple of years ago, and I found out that you have to pass all of these tests like, does it sound similar to another drug,
Mhm.
where a nurse could get confused? It can't have certain letters in it. It can't have a different meaning in all of these foreign languages. So you get a foreign language check, you get a nurse check, you get all of these kinds of things, so that ultimately you wind up with this ridiculous sort of name for your product. But that's a bit of a tangent. Marketing for me is how well does our drug perform and what benefit does it really have for patients?
Thank you for clarifying that too, because I've always been curious, not gonna lie. I've always thought like, why is it called?
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean that sheds a lot of insight, especially for our companies that are dealing with pharmaceuticals and taking something to market. Uh,
yeah.
I'd like to dive into, I like to share again about the transparency of businesses and to our audience who are also a lot of business owners. What is a challenge you're currently facing and how are you working through it?
There are a couple of challenges. I mean, the need for capital for us is always a challenge. And the past 3 years have been difficult for biotech in the market. So it hasn't been a very favorable funding environment. Earlier this year with what the administration did, whether you like it or you don't like it, it's just caused a lot of market upheaval that we've had to deal with as well. So fundraising is always a concern. The market conditions are always a concern. That's probably the biggest hurdle that we have, because money equals, speed for your trial, sometimes equals, more manufacturing of your drug at times, different kinds of things. So you just want to really be set up well for success and not, kind of behind the eight ball in terms of funding. I would say another headwind that we have just in general is the public perception of healthcare, pharmaceutical companies, medicine. And I saw an article yesterday, day before, somebody on LinkedIn that was just saying, pharma has done maybe the worst job possible at promoting any sort of benefit that it has, because there's so many negative things that people see with the drug prices and the access to healthcare, legitimate, things, real problems, right? These are not things that you say, oh no, that's not right. It is right, but there's a benefit to developing a drug, especially when you see patients and families that are desperate. They don't have anything, deadly disease like we're trying to address. it really kind of puts a fire in you that I've got to get something out for these patients. I've got to do something that can actually make a difference in their lives. And I think that's what's lost in the perception of pharma and biotech these days.
That is, you touched on some golden nuggets there, especially for your industry, some of the challenges for sure. You hear so much noise around the negativity around
Yep.
pharmaceuticals and then also the uncertainties. However, I've noticed some really big like positive advancements too, like influencer physicians that have been out there, or influencer marketing with really positive things to say about pharmaceuticals and the benefits to many of them. And so I'm also with you. I hope that we can continue that trajectory of
Yep.
leaning into that. So in your experience, or even in the future of your company, how do you see yourself working through some of those challenges?
I have a great team, and not just the full-time employees, although those are the key people, but even the network of consultants that we have are just it's just a fantastic team. And so it's really, as cliche as it sounds, it's really a team effort in trying to work through these hurdles. I'm a very collaborative kind of person. I'm not a boss that's like, you do this now, do things this way. And I maybe need to be a little bit more decisive at times. I'm maybe too collaborative, but I like to get a lot of input and get a lot of help for solving the problems, everything from our day-to-day operations and developing the drug to fundraising. How can we reach more people? How can we get our story out? One thing that we're working on right now is how can we utilize channels that are out there, whether it's X, LinkedIn, Reddit, Discord, you name it, to build awareness for people who are investors, just to make them aware of the brand name and what we're trying to do. So that's how I think we're trying to address some of the issues that we have.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. This has been such like insightful conversation. You have so many, golden nuggets of advice and thoughts, especially going through the pharmaceutical industry. And now I'd like to dive into a fun part of our Q&A called the rapid fire questions. Uh,
Okay.
I'll be asking you 4 questions where you answer very top of mind.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1 is, what is the key to success for you?
Perseverance, without a doubt. You just
100%.
have to keep going. That's it.
And number 2 is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Can I say persevere?
You can, you totally
See,
can.
see question number one. No, I would just say that. I would say just don't give up and be creative. Be creative in your problem solving. Just realize that take the attitude that there's no failure is not an option, as again as cliche as that is, but just take that attitude
Mhm.
and it will drive you to creativity for aspects of your business.
Definitely. I think that's so true. And the third question is, it could be a book, a podcast, like any piece of content that you've taken in most recently.
Well, a book that I read was The Dog Stars by Peter Heller. It's fiction. It's not a business
Gotta
book.
have breaks sometimes, right?
I like to read a lot of fiction because I think it's great to get your mind away from your business and onto other things. And then when you come back to business, it's interesting, how more creatively you can think about things. So
Definitely.
Dog Stars, Peter Heller. It was a really good book.
I dig that. And the final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Stock market. The market,
That thing's got to stop.
economy. That's right.
Oh, well, this is